Hey everyone, it is me again. Today we are going to talk about something really important, something that honestly still makes me cringe a little when I think about it. I want to share with you what I believe is the quickest way to go from absolutely nothing to being financially free. This is not some get-rich-quick scheme. This is a very clear step-by-step guide based on my own painful experiences. This is exactly what helped me build my net worth to where it is now, a little over $950,000. It is also what helped me reach my idea of financial freedom. Well, sort of. That number needs to be a bit higher for true freedom. But the point is, it got me out of the rat race. It pulled me out of constant survival mode. Now, we are at a point where we are just investing and coasting for the future. I truly believe this is a video that everyone should save, bookmark, or share with anyone they care about. I am going to try my best to make this as clear and helpful as possible in a simple guide format. I really think it will help a lot of people avoid the same dumb mistakes I made. So let us just dive right into it. Step 1. And this might sound incredibly obvious, is to have some form of income. And for most of us, this means a job. This is absolutely critical. You need cash flow, money coming in regularly, whether it is at the beginning of the month, end of the month, bi-weekly, or weekly. It does not matter. You need money. Trust me on this. When I was younger, from about 16 to 19, I absolutely hated hearing this. This was a constant source of arguments between my dad and me. I would always say, I am too good for a job. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to build my own thing. And he would support that ambition sometimes, but then there were other times where he would just look at me and say, dude, you need to get a job. You need cash flow. I am afraid you are going to be a bum, he saw my drive, but it did not change the fact that there was no money coming in. You know, you probably have friends or family who are like this. Maybe you even feel a bit weird not having a job. I was always trying to start entrepreneurial projects, but none of them really took off back then. And the truth is, the next steps in this financial freedom journey are super important. But you need cash just to even cover any of them. That is why it is called financial freedom. You need that cash flow, of course. If you have some side hustle that is already crushing it, that is totally different. Or if you just stumbled into a business and it is somehow making you a lot of money, then by all means keep doing that. But for most of us, a 9 to 5 job is the easiest way to start. My advice here is to try and find something that gives you agnostic, transferable skills you can take and apply to a higher position within the same company or even a different company. If you work at a startup, try to find one with crazy growth potential if you absolutely have to. Like you have no other choice, work at a warehouse, McDonald's, or some kind of fast food restaurant, then do that. You have to. But, and this is a big but, try to find something with a little more long-term potential. It will take you much further than constantly worrying about where your next paycheck is coming from. And if you absolutely hate your life working in fast food, then obviously do not do it. But at a minimum, you need cash coming through that door period. It is the foundation for everything that follows. Step 2, and this is crucial, pay off any and all bad debt you have. When I say bad debt, I am talking about things like credit cards with ridiculous interest rates. If you have a mortgage, that is usually considered good debt. Depending on the interest rate, of course, that is solid, totally fine. But if you have a credit card with a 20% interest rate compounding monthly, dude, you need to pay that off as soon as humanly possible. I absolutely cannot stand car loans, especially those with high interest. And God forbid, a payday loan or a cash advance loan, whatever those things are called. I have seen people get absolutely burned by those things, not in a good way. They can completely ruin your life. You need to get yourself out of debt. It is incredibly important. It is key to any of this financial freedom stuff. I do not care if you are making 10% on the SP 500. If you are paying 20% on your debt, you are never going to be able to outrun that. You are still net negative 10%. You just have to get out of debt. Mentally, this is a huge thing for me too. When I pay off my credit card, it just feels so good to see those numbers cleared. To be in the green or in the black, it is like, this is great. I feel so much better. That weight, even if it is just 10 bucks, just lifts off your shoulders. Get rid of it if you need to be strategic. Clear the ones with the highest interest first. If you have student loans or something heavily leveraged, okay, I guess I can let that slide a bit. But be really careful with those high interest ones. They can sneak up on you badly and completely dismantle any efforts you make at saving and investing if you are not addressing the root cause. So, cut that out as soon as you can. Before I jump into step 3, I really want to hear your why. What is your why for financial freedom? What is your specific number? Do not be afraid to be ambitious. I seriously want to know. I do not care if it is $100 million. I do not care if it is $1 million. It does not matter. I want to hear your financial freedom numbers and what financial freedom actually means to you. It is a really interesting topic. And for me, it is about having 5 to 10 million invested at a very conservative rate. My family taken care of. And just being able to do whatever the hell I want. That to me is financial freedom. I know everyone else might think differently or have completely different goals, and that is why I want to hear it. So comment below and tell me step 3, build an emergency fund. This is where things really start to get moving. This allows you to get out of what I call survival mode Survival mode is that feeling where you are thinking, God, I have bills coming in, but I do not have enough cash flow to cover them. It is that worry that even if things go sideways for just a few months, you might be completely screwed. That is why an emergency fund is so incredibly important. Shoot for 3 to 6 months of bare bones living expenses. Keep it liquid. This could be in a high yield savings account or even just in your checking account, though I recommend a high yield account so you are at least earning a little something. But at a minimum, keep this money saved and liquid. You do not want the worst thing to happen, like getting laid off or wanting to take a break for a month or two, only to have your expenses breathing down your neck. You want to be careful. And having an emergency fund also allows you to take so much more risk, especially for those of us in our late teens and early 20s. This is huge. It relieves so much mental pressure, even if it is subconscious. I know for a fact it did for me when I kept my expenses so incredibly low, but I was able to earn 20, 30, or 40,000 a month. The further that spread got, I just sat there and smiled, because it felt like there was no way I could fail if I just kept stacking my cash and keeping my burn rate low. You know, you cannot not walk out of that situation positively. So just do it. Build an emergency fund. You are going to thank yourself later, especially when things go sideways. And please do not do what my buddies did. My friends would put their emergency fund into stocks. In theory, that sounded great. But then when they actually needed money, what did they do? They took that money out. It completely disrupted compounding. It completely disrupted the whole point of what they were trying to do, and then they screwed themselves over. So be careful with that. Step 4, invest every possible dollar you can after your bills are paid. And I am not talking about what you are comfortable with. I am talking about what you can screw comfort, because if you do all of what I just said, all of the above, you are safe by default. Your bills are covered, you are building an emergency fund, and you have an income. So comfort is just your body trying to be fearful when now is absolutely not the time to do so. Again, especially for those of us in our late teens and early 20s, invest first, spend second. 99% of people do the opposite, and I think that is nuts. Any leftover money, you can go buy the dumb stuff you want. I do not care. Go do whatever you want, but you have to be super, super careful with the first part here. Again, this is not financial advice, but what I did and what I will continue to do even after I hit my 8-figure goal is the very boring SP 500 Vanguard index funds. Think tickers like VU, VFV, ETOT. Those types of funds aim for a hopeful 8 to 10% a year compounded annually. It is so dead simple, but it gets so addicting, seeing those numbers continue to rise on the screen and just being so excited. It is like, I always make this joke, I would rather be homeless than ever disrupt compounding, than ever touch that money. This is where people really mess up. They disrupt the most beautiful thing in this world, which is compounding. So again, I know so many people who invested for 1 to 2 years, made great returns, and then said, well, this was nice. They sold everything to buy some dumb stuff or a meme coin, and now they literally have nothing to show for it. Do not do that. Act as if this money is not even yours yet. That is my top tip on investing. Do not even look at it. I still look at it all the time. It is good to know what you are investing in, but do not ever sell it. Just do not. Do not even act as if it is yours. Step 5, and this is where it gets exciting. This is where it gets juicy. Find ways to increase your income. This is where things really started moving for me. In most cases, this begins with a side hustle, which is solid. In my opinion, freelancing or selling stuff is the best way to start. I do not care what you do. Just do whatever you have to do, because this slowly starts to really open up your mind to new ways of making more money. You are not conditioned to that 9 to 5 mindset anymore. And even better, this side hustle income could eventually catch up to your 9 to 5 salary or your main income. Bear with me on this because I know I have talked about it before, but when my first freelance payments started coming through, it absolutely boggled my mind. But it slowly started to rewire the conditioning in my head that I had to stick to a 9 to 5. That is just not true. You do not need to do that. I remember one customer S payment covered my food and groceries for that entire month, which was insane. Then another customer S payment covered my utility bills and car insurance. I was like, this is really cool. And then a big one came through and covered my entire rent. And before I knew it, I was banking it. I was saving like a net of $5,000 to $6,000 a month after all expenses, which was absolutely insane for a guy who was earning $3,000 a month net at the time from his salary. I was like, dude, this is just crazy. And you never know how long it is going to last. So you obviously want to keep this thing going for as long as possible. That is for a different video, but this is where things get exciting because you have your 9 to 5, your expenses are covered, your investments are rolling, and now you have this secondary income that you can hopefully eventually take full time. Just think about that. You know, pause the video if you need to, rewind it. I do not care. This is where for me it got really exciting. Step 6, and this is the most important part that built the majority of my wealth. You need a high cash flow business, a service business if you can. You need something that you can own 100% of, be extremely profitable, and ideally online so you have some location freedom and some type of freedom where you do not have to be bound to one physical location. I do not like one location businesses. I like being able to pack up, have everything literally from my payment processors and my banks all on my laptop and my phone. This could be a web design agency, this could be a software development company, this could be a paid ads agency, this could be a call center company, I do not care. Start by doing whatever you have to do. Work for free to get your first few case studies. Market and leverage those case studies to get future customers through paid ads and cold email, and you will never fail. You will never go broke if you know how to sell. I know I have talked about that, and I am not going to beat that horse today, but there is big money in learning how to sell stuff. Listen, if you do this, if you implement these steps in your 20s, you will never have to worry about money again going into your early and mid 30s. It is seemingly impossible to fail. It just is. When you boil things down, it is so simple. Do not get fancy live, like you are broke. Keep your head down, stack and invest your cash as much as you possibly can. And one day, you are literally just going to come up for air and not even realize where the hell you are. At least for me, that moment is ultimate freedom. That moment is when you have made it. That will probably be a more exciting moment than when but when I hit 10 million or 50 million or 25 million, my goal is like 25 to 50 million. That is probably going to be the more exciting part. It is just seeing that you can be self-sufficient. And when you do it for years and years, over and over again, it is a feeling that I hope everyone can achieve and everyone can feel at some point in their life. And it almost frees your mind, and you could take care of your family. You could live an extremely good life. When you earn more, you are able to save more and invest more. Guys, I am all for frugality, but even I have learned over the years, you can pinch your 2 pennies together, hoping it turns into $1, but you need higher cash flow. You need higher income. That is the only way you are going to get ahead. And there is only, I say this too, there is only so many Netflix subscriptions you can cut. There is only so many meals you cannot go out to eat because you are saving money. It is like, screw that, that is good discipline in the beginning, but come on, I do not want to be stressing about a $200 dinner bill or some car maintenance that I need done or whatever. I know I am kind of speaking on a whole bunch of stuff now, but anyways, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Seriously, comment below again. I want to hear your financial goals. I want to hear what your ambitions and motivations are. As always, if you have made it this far, I want to see you win. Thank you for listening.